All right, guys, welcome back. We're on chapter 11, page 88 of The Barren Grounds by David A. Robertson. Okay, we've had Morgan go through the portal into what we're considering the Barren Grounds, and a fisher animal being came and saved her, or she would have frozen to death, and has taken her to his village, and states that Eli is there as well. And the name of the village is Mizwa. So here we go. Chapter 11. I have questions. Morgan's knees felt like they were going to give out at any second. She was bracing herself against the long house, standing near the front door. The village she'd just been introduced to was spinning into blackness. The fisher must have noticed. He had his paw firmly under her armpit for support, but it still didn't feel like enough. How is this even possible? She asked. Eli drew this. It's not real. The fisher laughed. Esquasis, the boy may have drawn Mizwa, but it is very real. But how? Morgan widened her eyes to keep them open, to fight off the darkness that was overtaking her vision. How? She was losing the fight. All things are connected, the fisher said. Your world and this one, the sky and the land, all that is. So, you know about humans? Oh, yes, he said. I know about... Morgan's legs finally gave out. She started to fall, only to be caught by the fisher. He lifted her into his arms, and their eyes met. To her, his eyes were at once black, endless, and kind. Who are you? She asked. I'm Ochek, and we need to get you into the warmth. There'll be time for questions later. Eli, Morgan whispered deliriously. Eli. Everything went black. Morgan felt the sensation of being rocked, slowly, back and forth. She was being carried, but the howling wind and the cold were gone. In their place was warmth and the sound of a woman humming. The song was familiar. Morgan felt the same tug that she'd felt while standing in the snow, facing the great tree and the forest behind it. Drawn to the sound and the warmth and the rocking, she opened her eyes and was standing in a room with a lamp on a small table, a rocking chair, and nothing else except a window. Outside the window were ancient trees, thick and tall. Then there appeared a woman on the chair, and a toddler, a girl, in the woman's arms. The woman was rocking the sleeping child, humming a song to her. It was a sweet and gentle song, and the girl looked peaceful. But the mother was not peaceful. The mother was crying, trying not to sob. Sobbing might wake the girl. Let's go look up this word in the front. So it's right here. Kiskaisitotaso. Kiskesetotaso. Kiskesetotaso. Don't forget about who you are. Kiskesetotaso. Kiskesetotaso. Oh my goodness, I'm butchering this word. Terrible. Kiskesetotaso. The woman whispered to the girl after the song had finished. Kiskesetotaso. totaso. Kiske se tosaso. Don't forget who you are. So I don't know if this is really happening, or is Morgan dreaming this? Is she remembering this? Is it a memory of her? Is it a memory of her mom and her mom and maybe a brother or a sister, it's it? I don't know. A voice pulled Morgan away from the dream. Somebody was calling her name. She opened her eyes to find Eli sitting next to her. "You're here." Morgan touched his face just to make sure it was actually him, and she wasn't hallucinating. "You're awake," he said. Morgan propped herself up with her elbows. She felt stronger, and she was happy to be in the warmth. She was lying on a bed of spruce boughs, with a thick and heavy hide over her body. There was a small fire in a pit beside her bed, casting light across the wooden walls. A chair sat unoccupied in the corner of the room, beside an opening that led to a room beyond. There was another empty bed of spruce boughs on the opposite side of the fire. It was warm in the room, but the cold was still there, outside the longhouse. It announced itself with the wind howling and pushing against the walls. Morgan looked Eli over carefully. He wasn't in the clothes he'd been in earlier in the night. He was dressed like Ochek, wearing grayish pants, a brown jacket with a hood, and white moccasins. The only thing the same about Eli was his braided hair, neat and tight. Braided hair. The woman in her dream had hair like that too. Hair like strands of midnight. Morgan pictured the woman sitting in the chair rocking her baby, singing to her, whispering that word. Kiskis tatso. Morgan shook her head. I was having a dream. No, this is real. That's not what I meant, she said. I was literally having a dream, but it felt so real. Morgan focused on the woman and the word she repeated to the toddler. Oh, I'm going to look it up again. Kiskisetotaso. 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 It wasn't English. It was something else. Cree. Dreams can tell us important things, Eli said. Where you're from, your community, do they speak Cree? Morgan expected the smile to leave Eli's face at the mention of his home community, but it didn't. Yes, Swampy Cree. It's a Cree dialect. Do you speak it? She asked. I mean, do you know words and stuff? But are you like fluent? Hey, he nodded. The woman in my dream, she kept saying a word to a little girl. She was humming a song, and then she said one word over and over. What word was it? Morgan tried to say it properly, recited it deliberately. The sounds were hard and clumsy. Kiss, kiss it out aso? Say it again, like you remember it, Eli said, like you can speak it, like you've always spoken it. But I haven't. I never did. You know it, even if you don't think you do. The boy who'd she'd known for a week seemed much older, and in only a matter of hours. It's in his eyes, she thought, quiet and sure. She took a breath, thought of the dream, of the woman, and how the word came off her lips. Kiskisetotaso. I know that word, he said. In English, it means something like, don't forget about who you are, or don't forget yourself. That's pretty close. Why would I dream that word? She asked. Why would I dream that woman? Sometimes you can dream a memory, he said. A memory? she repeated. Morgan held on tight to the dream, even as it tried to pull away and leave only fragments. She held on tight to the woman's face. Morgan gasped. She put her hands over her mouth and a tear fell. That was my mom. Morgan. Eli reached forward and put a hand on her shoulder. The shock of the realization, the longing she felt, left in a snap. In its place, all she could feel was anger. The burning in her chest boiled over and coursed through her body like blood. She pushed his hands off her shoulder and buried herself under the hide blanket. What were you thinking, going off like that, huh? She said. Did you even think about how I'd feel? I did. It's just what? You can't possibly have a good excuse for what you did. You could have died. And then what? She pulled the blanket just low enough to see him. It reminded me so much of home when I saw Mizwa for the first time. He stared into the fire. I miss home so much. Damn it, Eli! Morgan's breath went from almost hyperventilating to calm in no time. She looked at him from under the security of the bedding. I'm sorry for saying what I did, about pretending this was your home. I can hardly remember that. He grinned warmly at her. Don't worry about it. I think I was jealous, because you can remember your memories, she said. Not just dream them. It doesn't matter, he said. Not anymore. You know what's messed up? Morgan got out of the hide blanket entirely, so that she and Eli were sitting across from each other. That way you feel about here? I kind of felt it in my dream. Even now I know it was my mom. I mean, for all I know, that was the last time I saw her, before she let me go. Morgan fought back tears. If she didn't want me to forget myself, then maybe she should have kept me around. Maybe she should have. Maybe she didn't have a choice. Don't say that. You don't know that. Sorry. Anyway, Morgan shook it off. How can anybody remember who they are when they are never in the same place for more than a couple years? She felt the anger bubbling again, right inside her chest, hot and quick. She's just a stupid memory to me now, and that's all. And so, her shout fell to a whisper, so is whoever she wanted me to be. Okay. He looked like he was going to cry. Tears were welling up in those huge eyes of his. Morgan tried to steady her breathing. I'm not angry at you. You're just here. That's all. A long silence followed. All they could hear was the crackling of the fire and the gusting wind. During that time, they looked at each other, then away from each other, then all around the room. Morgan spent time assessing Eli's clothing and how he had changed, and thought it was remarkable that he looked this way after such a short period of time. How much time exactly? She wished she hadn't left her phone in the bedroom. Okay, we're going to leave that there for now. I'll start off with video 2 in a little bit. All right, guys, take care.